People have long thought of the Sahara as nothing more than a hot, empty wasteland, a sea of sand that goes on forever in every direction. That thought might not be right, though. What if the world's biggest desert has always had something hidden beneath its golden surface? Recently, strange claims have been going around. They've even been on the Joe Rogan podcast that point to a truth that makes us question everything we thought we knew. People have told us that the Sahara is empty and boring, but it might not be. Wait a minute, because what I'm about to say could totally change everything. The Sahara Desert. The name evokes images of endless dunes, scorching heat, and a land so dry and barren that it feels almost lifeless. But is it really just a barren place? You know, this desert has its own secrets, secrets that really make us question what we think we know. Did you know that it covers an incredible 9.2 million square kilometers? It's actually the largest hot desert on our planet, spreading across a big part of North Africa. Even though people often think of the Sahara as a place of death and desolation, it wasn't always the tough, unyielding landscape we know now. Underneath the shifting sands, hidden away for ages, there are clues pointing to a past that's quite different, something that scientists are just starting to wrap their heads around. The cold deserts of Antarctica and the Arctic are the biggest deserts in the world. The Sahara, on the other hand, is a desert of extremes. It gets over 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, and it can get below freezing at night. It doesn't rain very often. In some places, it goes decades without a drop. The harsh environment of the desert shapes it. Strong high-pressure systems trap heat and dry out the air, leaving only burned landscapes and a strange, almost alien silence. It wasn't always like this, though. Our Sahara would be very different if we could go back thousands or millions of years. Lush fields covered the land for miles. There were lakes full of life, and old rivers cut paths through the land. Not a desert, but a healthy environment that was once home to a society that has been lost to history. In places that are now just sand fields, scientists have found skeletons of fish, crocodiles, and even hippos. People lived in a world that is so different from ours now that it almost seems like a dream in the cave drawings that were made by hands that have been forgotten. Over thousands of years, the Sahara has gone through cycles of change, going from being a desert to a fertile land. However, what could change a green ocean into a sand ocean? The answer comes in the Earth's natural rhythms, which are changes in its tilt and rotation that cause weather trends to shift over time. About every 20,000 years, the Sahara gets wet for a while, which brings life back to the area. But when those things change, the desert takes back its power and swallows up lakes, rivers, and even whole cities. Then there's the wildlife, which has survived this harsh landscape. It seems like nothing could stand up to that much heat, but nature always finds a way. Acacia trees have roots that go deep into the ground and pull water from hidden sources. Date palms hold on to life in areas spread out across the desert, providing a haven for visitors. Antelopes, gazelles, and even the rare Saharan cheetah move through the dunes in search of food. At night, dangerous animals like the sand snake and fennec fox roam the dunes. Even though the desert is rough, it's not empty. It's living in ways we don't fully understand. But the eye of the Sahara, a strange alien shape that has puzzled scientists and explorers alike, may be the most interesting thing about the Sahara. It's not its history or its animals that are mysterious. This huge, ring-shaped rock structure, which is also called the Risha structure, goes across the Mauritanian desert for 40 kilometers. An exact target carved into the ground makes it look like something from science fiction. What is it, though? The eye of the Sahara went unseen for hundreds of years. Only the few tribal groups that lived along its edges knew about it. The Gemini flights in the 1960s were the first people to see it from space, which made everyone aware of its presence. Initially, experts speculated that a past asteroid impact could have caused it, but they found no evidence of an impact hole. Some people thought it was a volcanic dome made by magma pushing up from below the Earth's surface millions of years ago. Then, though, a new idea came out that shocked everyone on the internet. The Eye of the Sahara got more attention when expert Jimmy Corsetti said on Joe Rogan's show that this strange, ring-shaped creation might actually be the lost city of Atlantis. What did he say? Plato wrote about Atlantis in old times, and the plan of the Rishat structure almost exactly matches what he wrote. A big city, destroyed and now hidden by the sands of time, forms rings of land and water. Is it possible? The idea has caused a lot of disagreement. Some doubters point out that there aren't any clear ruins, no huge buildings, statues, or other signs of a sophisticated society. But people who believe that Atlantis really did end could say that many of its remains could have been worn away, hidden, or lost over thousands of years. In addition, the Sahara was once lush and green, ideal for a sophisticated society. However, according to expert Jimmy Corsetti, this enigmatic structure may represent the fabled lost metropolis of Atlantis. Atlantis has been one of the biggest unresolved mysteries in history for ages. It was a powerful island empire near the Rock of Gibraltar, surrounded by rings of land and ocean, according to Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher. Some have searched for it under the Atlantic Ocean, while others think it may be concealed in the Mediterranean or even under Antarctic ice. However, new research indicates that the truth may be concealed in plain sight, close to the city of Cadiz, between Spain and Morocco. We may finally be solving a conundrum that has perplexed people for thousands of years, if Corsetti is correct. We need to go back to the beginning to understand what this means. From Plato's story of Atlantis, we can see that the people who lived there were smart, strong, and different from other people in their time. He said it was a huge island, bigger than both Libya and Asia put together. It was not just a small city in the middle of nowhere, but a vast kingdom. Some people thought it went across seas and connected to faraway places. Tertullian, an early Christian author, agreed with Plato that Atlantis was very big. American mystic Edgar Cayce went even further and said it might have been as big as Eurasia. And the story gets weirder. The story goes that Poseidon, the god of the seas, built Atlantis, so it wasn't just any old city. Because he loved a human woman named Cleito, he built the kingdom on an island far away to keep her safe. As Poseidon planned, Atlantis was made up of rings of water and land, connected by tubes and protected by gates and towers. Huge walls of red, white, and black stone adorned themselves with precious metals. In the middle of it all was a house that was so beautiful that the gods would want to snag it. In the middle of the city stood the hill of Cleito, which was said to be where Poseidon enchanted his wife because he didn't trust her. One of their 10 sons, Atlas, became the first king of Atlantis. 5 of their boys were twins. The brothers supposedly built a huge temple to honor their father. Inside, there was a golden figure of Poseidon riding a carriage pulled by horses with wings. The temple was a wonder, and the soaring roof was so high that clouds could move through it. It was a paradise in Atlantis. It was rich, fertile, and could take care of itself. The land was very productive, and it raised enough food and animals to feed its people. In order to keep the fields growing, farmers built complex watering systems. Architects used polished black and red stone to make big houses. The Atlanteans were also adept at working with rare metals and alloys. They used brass and experimented with crystals. Some say for energy, and others say for fun. It would have seemed like magic to use their high-tech gadgets. But not everyone thinks that the first people who lived in Atlantis were humans. Some ideas say they were visitors from other planets who came to Earth 50,000 years ago. People said these alien guests were bigger and prettier and lived for hundreds or 800 years. According to legends, they were so powerful that they could control the weather, stop volcanoes from erupting, and use energy from other worlds. Now that you know everything, how did Atlantis fall? It got too big for its own good, like many other great powers. The Atlanteans fought against parts of Asia, but Athens beat them in the end. Because they were so proud, the gods set off a series of disasters, including earthquakes, tsunamis, and storms. Atlantis was wiped off the map when the ground split open and water rushed in. It happened all in one day and night. Is the story true, though? Corsetti doesn't believe it. His guess is that Atlantis wasn't just a city, but a huge state with 10 countries and a big main city. He is certain that the Rishat structure is the source of the lost money. Is there proof? It's more fascinating than you might think. Let's start with geography. In his works, Plato says that Atlantis had 3 rings of water and 2 rings of land. That fits the Rishat structure perfectly. Even scarier, the mountains around the city fit Plato's description. The people of Atlantis thought they were the gods. The water is another thing. Plato talked about a huge ocean to the south of Atlantis and a desert to the north. Satellite pictures of the Sahara show the remains of old lakes and rivers, showing that this dry land used to be green and full of water. Unbelievably, there was an island with a freshwater spring in the center of Atlantis. There is also one in the Rishat structure. And when experts looked at the area, they found evidence of a huge tsunami from a long time ago, just like the one Plato said destroyed the city. But there's more. People knew Atlantis as a place with a lot of gold and copper. The country of Mauritania, which is home to the Rishat structure, is rich in both. Remember the claim that Atlantis was teeming with strange animals, including elephants. Researchers have discovered numerous elephant bones near the eye of the Sahara. Even the colors of the rocks, red, black, and lighter shades, are exactly what Plato said they were. Also, archaeologists have found things in and around the Rishat structure that are at least 12,000 years old, which is close to the time that people say Atlantis sank. There are weapons, tools, and even ship parts here, which suggests that it wasn't just a random rock creation. People lived there. The weirdest link, though, might be the one that most people miss. 10 kings, each with 5 sets of twins, ruled Atlantis, according to a legend. Nigeria, which is close to Mauritania, now has the most twin births of any country in the world. Could this be a coincidental occurrence? Perhaps. Or it could be another sign that is hidden. People have been interested in Atlantis for a very long time. But if Corsetti's idea is true, the truth could be in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Time has emptied a place that once brimmed with life. Is it possible that the Rishat structure is the lost city of Atlantis? Or is it just a dream that we keep seeing as we try to solve one of history's biggest mysteries? For thousands of years, the hot sands of the Sahara have concealed a remarkable phenomenon. Scientists have found proof of an extinct megalake, which was a huge body of water that covered 42,000 square miles. About 250,000 years ago, the Nile River burst through a low waterway near Wadi Tushka, forming an ancient giant. As high as it got, it was 810 feet above sea level. That was crazy. Unexpected satellite radar data led to the discovery. Geologists at the National Air and Space Museum looked at pictures from the Space Shuttle radar topography mission and found strange shapes in the desert. Layers of silt, old water pathways, and bedrock structures revealed the lake's long-forgotten presence. The dry environment in Egypt helped keep these features secret, and radar was able to see through the sand to see what was below. Below the water, some of the passageways go down as much as 50 feet. It wasn't just a lake, it was a way to stay alive. Fossilized fish bones show that the Nile once filled the whole Kiseba Tushka Valley, turning this dry land into a lush oasis. Early settlements by humans, like Paleolithic sites near Selima and Tarfawi, show that these rivers were important to old societies. But that wasn't the end of the shocks. Further research discovered a second, smaller lake, 623 feet above sea level, near Bir Kiseba. It shows that the Sahara, which is now a harsh wasteland, used to have lakes that supported life in ways we never thought possible. But the desert is hiding more than just secrets about Earth's past. It is also keeping things from the beginning of the solar system hidden. Scientists discovered a formation in Algerian sand that predates Earth. Ergchech 002, or EC002, is a rock that was made more than 4.5 billion years ago, long before Earth existed. This space rock isn't like any other. It's a piece of a lost protoplanet, which is a body in space that helped make planets into what they are today.